How important are meaningful and trusted relationships in your life? Please.
There's nothing more important.
There is nothing more important. Very good. Thank you. Never before has there ever been a greater sense of urgency on one particular topic that has affected our national security, our intelligence communities at the highest level in government, U.S. commerce, public utility servicing companies all around the United States, and as well as researchers and professors that are studying this most critical topic that goes to the core of what? Goes to the core of our security and stability at home. I had the opportunity to speak with many of you over lunch and a little later, and I can see your desire and your passion, obviously, for cybersecurity. And I'm excited to hear where you want to go with college, the various opportunities and the various universities that you're considering to further develop your skill set in this particular very, very specialized field. And then later, given that opportunity, when you begin your career path, where is it going to be? Is it going to be in our intelligence community, at the highest levels of government? Is it going to be in the private sector with various corporations? Might you be working with people that are going to be working with other areas in our public utilities? Very, very critical area with our infrastructure in the United States. Or it may be in academia, maybe in the areas of research. All of those opportunities can be exciting for you. I want to ask you a very loaded question before I get into the big question. You all have the IQ, or you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be selected. You all have the aptitude. You have the desire for the area of cybersecurity. You have the technical core skill set. Now I want to ask you this loaded question. Do you feel that there's any barriers or any limitations that will keep you from reaching your highest human potential, your highest level of individual performance going forward? Is there anything that comes to mind or that you can think of? I know the wheels are turning. I think there's one, if I may. I think there's one. I believe there's one critical ingredient necessary for you to adopt and embrace to take you to that highest level, to tap your highest level of human performance. And I'm going to share that with you today. And I'd like to ask you this question. If I was to share this particular formula with you, this mindset and this lifestyle, and there's no upfront fees, there's no annual or monthly subscription, but if I can give you an easy formula that you can adopt and you can implement on a daily discipline basis within your mindset and within your lifestyle, would you be all in? Let me see by a show of hands. Everybody in for that? Good. Give me high. I want to see them really high. Good. Is there anybody for any reason who wouldn't take that on? Thank you. Now I'm going to ask you the most critical question, not of the day, not of the decade. I'm going to ask you what I believe is the most critical question of your lifetime. Mark your calendars. It was today. You ready? And I'd love to get your feedback. How important are meaningful and trusted relationships in your life? Please.
There's nothing more important.
There is nothing more important. Very good. Thank you. Here's what we did over the last year. We interviewed over 3,500 people. Students, high school students, college students, professors, CPAs, flight attendants, engineers. Very, very diversified group. Homemakers, principals at high schools. We asked them that very, very same question. And then 94% of the people answered with one of three responses. Three categories that we put them in. One was 100%. One was extremely critical. And the last group said, nothing else matters. Does that crystallize how important that is? We don't realize how important trust is until when? excellent, outstanding, perfect response. I've heard a couple of them, until we don't have it or until it's broken. Before I introduce you to this mindset and this lifestyle, this secret that I told you, to how we're going to build and grow and sustain meaningful and trusted relationships, there's one thing that I have to introduce first. About trust. Isn't it fair that we need to have a basic understanding of what trust is before we can learn to build meaningful and trusted relationships? Fair enough? Let's start with that. Trust starts with likability. So I want you to imagine this ladder. It starts with likability. People like working with people they like, right? We like hanging with people we like. Here's the challenge. We all have prejudices. We all have misunderstandings, right? We all have biases. How many times have you met someone for the first time and you said, oh, I can't even stand that person, right? 6 months later, they're your best friend. Has that happened? Is that fair to say? Let me see. Show me the hands. Does that happen? And why is that? Because we live in this new digital revolution too. Everything's instant. Everything's immediate, right? And what do we do immediately? We judge that person. And either it's good or it's bad. Seldom is it ever in between. But what happens is we don't really know that person until we what? Until we begin to understand this person. That's ladder rung number 2. That's why I think a model like this, it's a very simple concept. It's a very simple mindset and a lifestyle. And you're saying, well, what is the connection of the head, heart, and gut to my particular field? Why is that important? As I started off with this, you all have the IQ. We all have the IQ and the aptitude at a very high level. If you talk to the top psychiatrists and behavioral scientists in the world, and they've all been asked, what is the top ingredient to ensure success? Success ingredients. Is it IQ or is it emotional intelligence? That's what we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes. At one time it was thought if you had the IQ, that's all you needed, right? We've got the brains, we have the IQ. Now they're telling us that your success is determined by 10 to 25% maximum of your IQ. And 75 to 90% is what we get into your human emotional intelligence. So when you're dealing with the human intelligence that makes up IQ and EQ, the emotional intelligence, 75 to 95% falls into this category. Isn't that amazing when you think about that? And what is this dealing with? It's dealing with knowing ourselves. It's our social awareness, our situational awareness, and our self-awareness. It's dealing with human emotions, with people that we have to interface with every day. And that's a big challenge and struggle from all of us as human beings. We've got to spend more time doing that. And if we're going to be in a particular field where we're dealing with highly technical skill sets, it's very easy to get very myopic, right? And very focused on this particular mission or project that we have to do in the area of cybersecurity. But how important is it if I'm working with a team, how important is it that I have meaningful and trusted relationships with my team members that I'm working with? Do you think that's important? It's paramount. It's extremely, extremely important. They've got to know you. They've got to trust you. And that's going to allow that innovation and that creativity, that inclusiveness, and that collaboration that you guys need to do to push yourself and maximize your human potential. That's why we're talking about it. It's called H2G leadership. And I have the operational definition here. And for those in the back of the room, we'll speak up so you can see it. You can't read it. So the foundation is H2G. It's a passionate and disciplined H2G. Head, heart, and gut mindset. And here's the key word, in action. It's behaviors in action. It's a trusted influence, which does what? Which inspires and maximizes the efforts of you? No. Inspires and maximizes the efforts of others. to commit forward and achieve a greater good, i.e. cybersecurity, through the power of engaged and trusted teams. Does that make sense? It's all about the team. It's all about engaging the team. It's all about building trusted influence so that we can do what? So that we can inspire others, motivate others for a mission, for a common good, for a greater good. H2G leadership. The power of engaged and trusted teams. Here's something that's very interesting that I want to share with you. Gallup polls, we've all heard of them, right? The latest Gallup polls tell us that in our workforce throughout the United States, only 3 out of 10 people are engaged in their work environment. They're excited about it, they're passionate about it, they look forward to coming to work and making a contribution. Only 3 out of 10. 50% of the people that are in the workforce say they don't trust their boss. They don't trust the manager. They don't trust their supervisor. How can companies operate at the highest level and perform if they don't have trust? It's amazing. So 70% that tells us, we said 3 out of 10 are engaged. 70% are either disengaged or unengaged. 55% of the workforce is unengaged. What does that mean? They show up to work, they punch a time clock, or they show up from 8 to 5. They take a check, they put in their time, they take care of the basic responsibilities that are put before them for the day, and they go home. How'd you like to work in that work environment? No, thank you. I'm sorry. What was the other one? I'd hate it. I would too. We only have 86,400 seconds in a given day. And if we're going to put quality time into a job, we want to be passionate about it. We want to make a difference. We want to be excited, right? And then we have another 15% of the people that are disengaged. Who are the disengaged people? We all know of a few of those, and we've heard about them. They're sitting around the water cooler. They're bad-mouthing the company. They're bad-mouthing the mission. One word. Toxic. They're toxic. They got to go. They got to go. If they want to sit down with a constructive idea of change that we need in this company, any good leader will be open. But when you have toxic people, and there's a certain percentage in our world, and that's their makeup and that's what they do, it's time to go. They're not in the right culture. We want to concentrate on elevating that level of engagement. And we can do that through building trusted teams and building trusted relationships. I want to take all of these particular leadership behaviors. And I was talking with Adam earlier over at Lincoln. And he came up to me and said, Sean, well, what is that leadership? What makes up leadership? And what I'd like to share with you, and you take these home, and you can incorporate this into your mindset and into that lifestyle that we talked about. Here they are. It starts with character. How important is ethics and character in cybersecurity? Is ethics important? Absolutely. In every facet of our life. And one could even make the argument even more so in an area where somebody is entrusting you to safeguard the operation of our whole country, right? Or of a company, or of an institution. Character, do what is right every time. How simple is that? But how many people do that on a regular basis? How many people do what is right every time? Take responsibility for your actions. Be accountable. Lead by example. Speak up and stand up for your teammates. We've got to be courageous. We're all fallible as human beings. As we say up here too, when you make a mistake, accept responsibility for it. I screwed up. I made a mistake. I'm fallible. Don't crucify me for it. Look for that second chance opportunity. But you've got to be what? You've got to be authentic. You've got to be genuine. You've got to be real. Be selfless Share credit amongst your team members, whatever team that may be, your family team, your spousal team, your workplace team, your volunteer team. Those are all teams that I talk about. And the last one is live humility. It's very fulfilling to be around people that are humble. And many of my concerns and concerns of my friends at my generation say, Sean, here's what I'm concerned about. And you tell me if this is a fair assessment with your generation and the millennials. They've said that we become so obsessed and so addicted with this tool that we become desensitized as human beings. Is that a fair statement? I'm talking to a cyber group. So I want you to be transparent. I want you to be real with me. Be real. How many people think we become so obsessed and so addicted on this with just the textings and the emails and not that personal face-to-face one-on-one communication that to some degree, I'm not saying 100%, I'm not going to throw everybody over the cliff, that you become desensitized. Do you believe that? Let me see a show of hands, please. Be honest with yourself. So this is part of the H2G revolution. Don't get me wrong. What we've done with the advancement of technology in all areas of our life is incredible, right? In modern medicine, what it's done, agriculture, in the cyber world, for our United States military, for our intelligence community, what we've done with technology, we've made things quicker, faster, more efficient in every aspect of our life and more effective. But there's one area here where this thing's got out of kilter. Too many times people think they can take this cell phone, which is nothing more than a tool, and they can substitute this for what? Thank you. Human contact or real, meaningful, and trusted relationships. It will never, never do that. It's a tool. It needs to be used as a tool and recognize that's what it is. Gallup poll says we spend the average American 5.5 hours a day. Cyber world's probably 15, but 5.5 hours a day in front of a screen, a tablet, right? Facebook, or here. And we become obsessed and desensitized. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I just want you to be cognizant of that. I want you to be sensitive of that. So when you're out with somebody and you're at the dinner table, and we've seen that. I've gone out and 10 people surround the table, the whole family. You know how they're communicating? They're communicating, but how are they communicating? That's right. They're all on their phone. Their heads are all down. Are they face-to-face communicating? Are they building a relationship? Joey's right next to Mary. Yes, no, okay, what time? And it is hilarious and it's funny. But I want you to leave here today, and I want you to spend that quality time. Know when you need to have that face-to-face. Know when that friend needs you. Work on focusing on building those relationships and really doing what? Being a difference maker and help supporting me and you and 2 degrees of separation, everybody to help us build this H2G revolution. How does that sit with you? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. What's that? Yes, thank you.